Hello, my dear children. Namaste, and welcome to yet another session of our terminology series. And we are back with yet another session for another ICSE Class 10 biology chapter. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this super amazing platform of Vedantu. Okay, guys, so let's get started. Today, we are going to be discussing some terms, a bunch of terms from the chapter Circulatory System. Okay, so human physiology again. So let us get started. And here is my positive motivational quote for you for the day. Okay. So, yes, look at that. Our lives are defined by opportunities, even the one we miss. So, what does that mean? Make wise choices in life. Make use of every golden opportunity that we come across and don't let anything slip off from our hands that might even have the power to make our life entirely a whole new, different, positive world. So, have the right ability to judge, and definitely you will as long as you follow your heart's passions. Okay, so yes, here it is. The very first term that I have for you is blood, because blood is obviously the most important part of the circulatory system, right? So we can say it's a fluid connective tissue, as you would have learned in your lower grades. It's a body fluid which delivers necessary substances, which include gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, and also things like nutrients to every cell of your body. And it can also carry metabolic waste products from different parts of our body to help them get eliminated from our body, right? So that is what blood is, a fluid connective tissue basically. Okay, next one. What is tissue fluid? Now, tissue fluid is a term that we use when what happens is, I'll tell you this. The blood we know flows within blood capillaries, right? Within blood vessels under really, really high pressure. So while it does flow through this, it is quite possible that some of the fluidy components of the blood, along with some really small solid components of the blood, may ooze out through the walls on the blood vessel walls. So, for example, if this is our blood capillary, okay, just a second, yeah. If this is our blood capillary, there would be a lot of tiny, tiny little pores along the walls of those blood vessels. And when this blood is flowing under really high pressure through these blood vessels, there are good chances that it's quite natural to understand that some of this blood may ooze out through these tiny pores this way. It may just end up oozing out, squeezing out itself. But obviously, the bigger components wouldn't be able to pass out. Imagine it like a gardening hose. You know what that looks like, right? Almost every garden in India would have that gardening hose, I suppose, if I have understood it right. Well, definitely in my home state, that's how it is. Almost every household garden, small or big, normally have at least one gardening hose to water the plants. So imagine you're opening the tap under really high pressure. Full force, the tap water is flowing through it. Imagine that there are a few holes along the walls of that hose. What would happen? It's quite natural that the water will ooze out through those holes, right? Likewise, even here, it does happen. So what happens once it oozes out of these tiny little pores? The thing is, outside our blood capillaries, it's not hollow spaces, right? Because there are so many different cells which our body is made up of. All these cells and tissues are surrounding the blood capillaries, so many of them. So in between adjacent tissues and cells, this blood would just flow around. So if these are different cells, this blood just ends up flowing around between those tissue spaces. So now we give it the term tissue fluid. So we can describe it as the extracellular fluid which bathes the cells of most tissues, arriving via blood capillaries and being removed via the lymphatic vessels. So what are lymphatic vessels doing here? Lymphatic vessels would be those vessels which collect all this tissue fluid and take it up within a different set of vessels, the lymphatic system. That's about it, right? So this is what lymph is. The same tissue fluid, once it enters into lymphatic vessels, we give it the fancy term, lymph. That's it. So blood, tissue fluid, lymph. But remember, red blood cells would never be a component under normal conditions, they cannot be a component of tissue fluid or lymph because they are naturally too big to pass through those pores on the capillary walls. All right. So this is what these terms mean. Now coming to the term closed and open circulatory system. Now in a closed circulatory system, the blood stays within blood vessels, and this way the blood is kept separate from body tissues. Closed circulatory system. So what would an open circulatory system be? Simply put, closed circulatory system is one in which blood is confined to flowing within blood vessels. Heart, blood vessels. As in arteries, veins, capillaries, that differentiation is definitely there. But it doesn't flow around through random spaces in the body. Whereas in open circulatory system, they don't have definite blood vessels. Rather, within body spaces, which we call sinuses, right? Within different body spaces, which we call sinuses, body sinuses or body spaces or body cavities, this blood, once pumped by the heart or the pumping organ, just flows around and fills up random spaces. That's what happens in open circulatory system. So which organisms would you find this in? Not any of the higher organisms. Most commonly you would find these in lower organisms like invertebrates, many invertebrates, like for example arthropods. What are arthropods? Yes, arthropods are the group, the phylum under animal kingdom, which includes insects and various other diverse organisms, even many others that you can think of, right? Cockroaches, all of those come under arthropoda, phylum arthropoda. So that's a very good example for open circulatory system. Even mollusca, phylum mollusca, and many such invertebrate phyla, they would be an example for open circulatory system, wherein the blood is not confined to blood vessels. That's it. Now, what is a clot, a blood clot? This is something that you would definitely know, but how do you describe it? Think about the situation where you suddenly get wounded by some accidental scratch, or when you fell down somewhere, something like that. Blood starts oozing out, but suddenly, over a few minutes or a few hours, depending upon the depth of the wound, the blood stops oozing out, and rather a plug is formed, a solid reddish, brownish, sort of colored plug would be formed, and from there further fluid loss doesn't happen. That is what we call a blood clot. So we can say it's a thick mass of coagulated liquid, especially blood or of material stuck together. This is what a blood clot is. Now, blood clot or clotting is same as coagulation. Okay. Now, what are fibrinogens? Now, fibrinogen is, it's just the name of a protein, a soluble protein which is found in the blood plasma. Within the blood plasma, there are several proteins. Albumin, globulin, fibrinogen are the main ones. Fibrinogen, as I've told you, is one among those. So, where does it play a major role? Majorly, it plays a role in the pathway of blood coagulation, the overall systematic process by which blood clotting occurs. So, it is from fibrinogen that this substance fibrin gets produced by the action of an enzyme called thrombin. So to understand all this, you will have to know about the blood coagulation process properly. You need to be clear about that. Okay, right. What is blood plasma? This has to be super easy, right? The fluidy component of the blood. Blood, we know, is a fluid connective tissue. The fluidy medium, we give it a fancy term, and that is plasma, the liquid part of the blood, which makes up approximately 55% of the entire blood. The rest of the 45% is comprised of cells like RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Right? So yes, this is it, and it's important because it's the plasma which majorly helps in nutrient and waste transport and gaseous transport as well, up to a certain extent. All right. Now, erythrocytes, erythro would mean red. So, erythrocyte, cyte would be a cell. So, obviously it's there, the meaning is right there, a red blood cell or an RBC. This is what erythrocytes are. What exactly do they do? What are the functions? Majorly, their function is to carry around oxygen because they contain the proteinaceous pigment hemoglobin, which can easily bind to oxygen. Right? So, that's RBC. Now, leukocytes. What about sites? What are sites? They are cells. Any idea what leuco is? Yes, it means white. Erythro is red. Leuco would mean white or more or less colorless, transparent sort of. So again, it's yet another type of cell found in our bodies. And that's it. Majorly, they help in acting as the body's soldiers, majorly play a role in defense of the body, immunity of the body. There are different kinds of leukocytes like lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, and all of those. Right. Now coming to thrombocytes, which are also called, any idea? They are called platelets. Most important role would be to form blood clots, to help in stopping bleeding or helping in healing of wounds. Okay, so this is what the three major kinds of cells are. Now, bone marrow. What is this? This is a term that many people have a confusion with. Now, bone marrow, does it have something to do with the bones? Yes, it does. It's actually a spongy substance, a spongy tissue found within the center of the bones. We call it the bone marrow. So what is its function? Bone marrow is the site where a lot of stem cells are produced. Now, stem cells and various other substances which in turn have the ability to produce blood cells. So basically, in short, we can say that bone marrow acts as the site of acts as the birthplace of many blood cells in our body, because they give rise to stem cells which further can differentiate and become many of the blood cells in our body, right? Okay, now spleen. Okay, yet another important term. Spleen is an organ in the body. As simple as that. It's not a tissue, it's not a fluid, it's yet another organ in the body, majorly found in vertebrates, most of the higher chordates. So where do you find it? Right to the left of the stomach, somewhere in the upper part of the abdomen, we can say, as you can see in this diagram here, to the left of the stomach, upper part of the abdomen, right? Yes. So again, what does it do? It plays a major role in immunity and defense of our body. Right. So as it's written here, it acts primarily as a blood filter and is very much similar to a huge lymph node. And as a result, it helps in filtering out a lot of pathogens and fighting a lot of infections in the body. Now, diapedesis. Diapedesis and phagocytosis are two important terms that every ICSE Class 10 student must know, because one of the questions that are popularly asked in section B will give you the diagram of these processes. Usually it is this one that's given, diapedesis. You will be asked to identify what exactly the process occurring here is. So this is it. The passage of blood cells through the capillary walls into the tissues. Remember, I told you how tissue fluid is formed. Blood becoming tissue fluid, or rather tissue fluid getting formed from blood because of oozing out of the fluid part. This is what diapedesis is. The squeezing in of blood cells, or the passage of blood cells through the capillary walls into the tissues, into the surrounding tissues. This is what we call diapedesis. Now comes the term leukemia. Leukemia is a kind of cancer. It's a blood cancer which is caused by an abnormally high number of white blood cells in the body. Well, you may ask the question, isn't it good to have a huge number of white blood cells because it helps in fighting infections? But as always, anything in excess is dangerous, especially when it comes to our body. Anything too little or anything too much is always dangerous. Everything has to be in the right proportions for us to be healthy. Right? So the white blood cells, when they become abnormally high in number, as a result of uncontrolled cell division, it results in what we call leukemia, which is a type of blood cancer. There's another situation which could arise, which is leukopenia, which is exactly the opposite. An abnormally low level of white blood cells in the blood, which means that person's ability to fight infections is really, really poor. Okay, so leukemia, leukopenia. Now, phagocytosis. What is phagocytosis? The word that always comes to my mind when I think of phagocytosis is amoeba, right? So what exactly happens is, this is the process by which a cell Using its plasma membrane, it can engulf a particle, like you see here. It can just use its plasma membrane to make extensions of the cytoplasm to engulf or surround a large particle. It keeps surrounding it. So this is where we start. It's approaching it, okay? And then step 2 is this. It's just extending its pseudopodia. Step 3 is it's pretty much trying to engulf it completely. And finally, it's formed what we call a food vacuole. Of course, eventually it would be digestion, and post-digestion, it would be egestion. This is what phagocytosis is. The process by which a cell's plasma membrane engulfs a particle, giving rise to what we call a phagosome. Right? So this is also a process which occurs in our body. It's not just in the case of amoeba. In the case of amoeba, it's a very important process in capturing food. That's why this picture is given here. Now, in our bodies, what normally happens is, like it's shown here, bacteria or many other pathogens get eliminated with the help of our body's white blood cells and other such immunity providing cells with the help of phagocytosis. This is how they attack pathogens, the cells of our body. Okay. All right. Now it's time to take a very quick break, children. You have the opportunity now to gain 100% knowledge and score 100% marks through the amazing bunch of courses we have at Vedantu. So it's not just through YouTube, it's also through our own Vedantu platform that we have a lot to offer you. Children, you can be part of unlimited high-level classes with a lot of fun and high-level quizzes. And you can compete with students across the world. So one advantage I see of such a thing is that because you're not just meeting, everyone who is in your regular physical classroom. Unlike a physical classroom, in this case, it would be like meeting students across the country, across the world, which means your confidence levels are greatly going to be boosted when you compete with such a diverse batch. And then, of course, another interesting feature is our replays, which is in case you are unable to attend a session live, replay option is always there for you. So it's not just going to be another replay, another regular replay like you see on the YouTube replays. It's going to be an interactive replay, because the quizzes and leaderboards, although you are taking part in the replay and not in the live session, would be live. But of course, you would get to know it's going to be a replay because the date at which it actually happened, the time at which it actually happened would all be given. But of course, you don't lose out on the fun of, a live class, even if you might have been busy at that point of time because of some other engagement. We totally understand that. Now, handwritten notes are a very, very important part of this. We completely believe that handwritten notes, when it's something in your teacher's handwriting that's given to you, at least somewhere or the other with a lot of markings and stuff, it makes a huge difference. It has a sort of personal connect. So we don't stop that opportunity or prevent that opportunity that you could possibly access to avail all these amazing handwritten notes. And of course, doubt solving, assignments, tests, these are all still going to be a part of our online classes. Children, for those of you who are registered for Vedantu Pro subscription, micro courses and crash courses are going to be free of any extra cost. So that's also amazing. And talking about the pricing, how much is a big question. Less is more. More classes would mean lesser price. How exactly? I'll tell you. But remember, the link given in the description box below. You would see subscribe to Vedantu Pro now, and right next to it, you would find a link. Click on it and you would be taken to a whole new world of online education where you can check out all the details. And remember, the coupon code is going to be AMBPRO. All right. Now, those of you who are targeting exams 2021 this year, okay, so the 1 month option is also given to you, and until your board exams get over, that option is also given to you right here. The pro price without any discounts is going to be 1,500 for a month. For an extended period of time, it's going to be 5,000, but that's just mentioned there. I'm sure those of you who want to try it for the very first time would certainly prefer the monthly package, right? Because obviously you need to experience it. How much ever we show you all these examples, how much ever we teachers tell you about this, you need to get a hands-on feel of it for yourself to see how much it's benefiting you. So pay more attention to the 1 month subscription is all that I would say. That's completely your choice. Now, remember the coupon code is AMBPRO and you can apply it and get a discount, and then it's going to be available to you at just 1200. Okay, so the other one, it's going to be 4,000. Okay, so 1,200 for the monthly one and 4,000 for the longer term one. Now, yes, of course, when you come down to the per session cost, of course, it is as low as rupees 6 per session, which is even lesser than your favorite regular pack of Lays, not just the party pack, right, children? And for those of you who are targeting session 2022, those of you who are going from 9th to 10th grade this year, some of you might already have passed into your 10th grade and targeting the 2022 board exams. Here is everything you need to know for your benefit. So the pro price for you guys for the upcoming academic year, it's going to be 3,300 per month. Remember, children, the price that I'm telling you, it's not the per subject cost, okay? It's the total cost of all the core subjects together. And for one full year, which is till March 2022, it would be 38,880. So, of course, as I told you, the 1 month subscription would be what most of you would prefer, because you might want to try it out and see how it works for you. The coupon code is AMBPRO, which when applied reduces it to 2,640. Isn't that amazing? That too, because I told you it's not per subject, it's going to be for all your subjects together. Now, yes, this is going to be the cost for the entire year together at a discounted price. So coming down to the per session cost, because in a 1 month subscription, approximately 200 live sessions you can avail. And for the 1 year subscription, it's going to be 2,400 sessions that you can roughly avail. And that brings it down to the per class price of 13.2 and 12.96 for the 1 year subscription. So as you can see, it's not too much of a difference between the two, which is why I would suggest go for the 1 month subscription, see how it works for you, then make a bigger decision. All right. So yes, this is also even more reasonably priced than any of your favorite decent snack packets that you can find. All right, so now something else that I wanted to tell you, children. What would your student platform look like? I told you about the replay, the notes and all of those, but what exactly would your platform look like once you are a registered student? Have a look at this. This is what your list of sessions in my sessions it would look like. The past sessions, the upcoming sessions, all of them. As I told you, the past sessions is what I have picked up for you right now on the screen. So yes, this is what it is, the actual date at which it happened, the topic. This is my teacher platform, which is why everywhere you see just my name. But in your case, because you would be enrolled for the entire course, your different subject teachers' names would be there, obviously. The time at which it actually happened, the replay button, which you can just click on to check out the replay, get notes to click on and check out all the handwritten version of the notes which were used in the class. So I think that's about it, everything that you will have access to. You will also be able to see your upcoming sessions. All right, so instead of past over here, you can pick up upcoming and you will be able to see everything that's coming up for you. All right, so this is it. Let us now get back to our terminology session, shall we? Yes. Okay, so what is our next term? It is inflammation. Inflammation. What exactly is inflammation? Is it the same as a swelling? Well, maybe not exactly the same. Swelling would be one aspect of inflammation. We can describe an inflammation as a localized reaction which produces redness, warmth, swelling, sometimes pain as well as a result of some kind of infection, irritation or injury. Because in a particular injury site or an infection site, there would be a lot of immunity providing cells which gather up. So as you can see here, the harmful things are entering your body, and you would see right next to it, you would see a small swelling up and redness and rashes, and it would also be slightly warm to the touch. If it's really small in area, you wouldn't be able to feel that warmth, but some people would have experienced it as well. You might feel some heat from within as well whenever there is a swelling and redness and inflammation, as we call it, right? This is what inflammation is. Now, what is pus? It's an indication of an infection, of course, a thick yellowish or greenish opaque fluid or translucent fluid which we might see produced by infected cells and tissues of the body. So what do they consist of? They consist of dead white blood cells. They may also contain bacteria, which were the cause of infection, and also some bit of tissue debris and serum, remains of tissues and the blood serum, and all of those pathogens which had to get eliminated from the body. So pus is definitely an underlying sign, a sign of an underlying infection. Okay, so keep this in mind. Now, what is antigen? Okay, antigens and antibodies. Remember where we discussed this. Antigen can simply be defined or described as a foreign substance, not necessarily always toxic, a foreign substance which can induce an immune response in your body. Okay, so examples for antigens can be anything. Bacteria could be examples of antigens, even your A antigens and B antigens, which are naturally found in your body. They wouldn't be foreign to your body, but when your blood is transfused to another person who required your blood, perhaps your blood's antigens, your blood's A and B antigens could be considered to be a foreign substance by that recipient's body. This is why we say all that blood compatibility issues have to be taken care of during blood transfusion. All right. So this is what an antigen is. Once again, a toxin or other foreign substance which induces an immune response in the body, especially in the production of antibodies. Right? Okay. Now, what exactly are antibodies then? Antibodies would be those proteins which are produced by your blood in response to an antigen. Antigens are, as I told you, foreign substances which can enter into your body. So obviously your body is like in defense mode. It's like in war mode. It's like on guard and trying to attack all those foreign substances. As a result, antibodies are produced. Many soldiers are sent to the war site, the war zone. These soldiers are the antibodies. So antibodies are responsible for helping you fight all those infections and pathogens. Okay. Yes. Now coming to hemophilia, you might have heard this term. It's an inherited, a genetic bleeding disorder wherein the affected person's blood cannot clot normally. So it's usually inherited as in genetic. When a person has a family history of hemophilia, that's when usually this arises. So Queen Victoria's family is a famous example for hemophilia. You might have heard about it as well. Okay. Universal donor. Yes. Which blood group would be the universal donor? It would be the O blood group. So specifically, it would be the O negative blood group, which would be the universal donor. Why is it O negative rather than O positive? You know why? To become eligible to be called a donor when it comes to blood groups, the criteria would be that the blood should not have anything that could possibly be considered foreign by another person's blood. Does it make sense? A antigens, B antigens, RH antigens, these are all prospective foreign substances considering your blood is getting transfused into another person's body. For example, I have, say for instance, of course, I belong to O positive blood group. Okay, so let's go by my example itself. O positive blood group is what mine is. So my red blood cells, they don't have A and B antigens because I belong to O blood group, but my blood has RH antigens. Okay, RH antigens are present. That's why I belong to O positive blood group. So when I donate blood to an O negative person, somebody who is not really aware would be like, it's fine. Both of you belong to O blood group, so it should be fine. What if I donate blood to an O negative person? I'm O positive. This person is O negative. That person's blood identifies my Rh antigen as a foreign substance, and his or her blood would start producing antibodies against my Rh antigens. So obviously, I have given them something which is possibly dangerous to their body, which their body is trying to attack. So obviously, I'm not eligible to be called a universal donor. When I'm a universal donor, I should be a person with such a blood group that when donated to any group, no dangerous reactions could occur, which is why O negative blood group, which doesn't have any antigen on its surface, is the ideal candidate, right? Okay, now universal recipient with the same principle, it would be AB positive blood group is called a universal recipient because they've got basically they've got all the three types of antigens but no antibodies. So on the surface of their red blood cells, they've got the A antigen, they've got the B antigen, they would also have the Rh antigen. However you want to describe it, I mean, however you want to represent it, that's fine. But they would have all the three antigens, A antigen, B antigen, and the Rh antigen. So obviously, anyone who donates to them, whether they have an A antigen, B antigen, or an Rh antigen, whoever may donate to AB blood group, it's quite safe because it is something that this AB positive person's body is always already used to. This person's blood knows what A antigen looks like, knows what B antigen looks like, knows what Rh antigen looks like. So obviously, it's something that his own blood contains, and as a result, antibodies doesn't get produced against their own antigens. That's the principle. So AB positive. What about an AB negative person? Why wouldn't they be called a universal recipient? Because they would contain only the A antigen and the B antigen. No Rh antigen, that's why they are called AB negative. So if at all an AB positive person donates to an AB negative person, AB positive to AB negative, if they donate, what do you think would happen? The AB negative recipient's blood recognizes the Rh antigen as foreign and antibodies would be formed against it, possibly leading to a dangerous situation, right? So this is it. AB positive is the universal recipient. O negative is the universal donor. That's it. Now, what is the Rh factor? I think by now you would have understood. It's yet another type of antigen. People with the Rh factor in their blood on their RBC surface are called Rh positive, like me. And people like my sister who don't have the Rh factor, they would be called Rh negative people. So, for example, I'm O positive. My sister is O negative. So that's the difference. Although we both belong to O blood group, there's a difference in our Rh factor. I have them, she doesn't have them. Okay, right. Now, arteries, the different kinds of blood vessels. Remember, A stands for away. Arteries carry blood away from the heart. That's it. So mostly they carry oxygenated blood, except the pulmonary arteries. Veins carry blood towards the heart. So mostly it's going to be deoxygenated blood, except pulmonary veins. Capillaries, what do? Tiny blood vessels which supply blood to every cell and tissue of the body. So arteries branch out into arterioles. I'll just write that down here for you. Arteries branch out into arterioles, and arterioles branch out to form capillaries. Capillaries supply all that oxygenated blood to the cells and tissues. And what do they do next? They collect the deoxygenated blood from all the cells and tissues to form venules, join together, merge together to form venules. Venules further merge together to form veins. And veins would supply blood, the deoxygenated blood, to the heart. And arteries arise from the heart. This is how the cycle goes, right? Okay, now coming to the last term, myocardial infarction. Although it sounds like a complex term, it's something that you all are familiar with. It's commonly called a heart attack. What happens? It's one of the most common causes of death that we hear about these days, right? Earlier, during my childhood, I can recall situations only where somebody aged over 40, 50, 60, most of the time it would be above 60, would die as a result of a heart attack. But these days, unfortunately, this has become so common. Let's blame our lifestyle and dietary, problems for this. So, yes, let's be careful because a heart attack occurs when blood flow decreases or stops to a part of the heart, causing damage to the heart muscle. So, that's something that you may not even get the time to reverse, because sometimes it may occur very, very suddenly, and it can be really strong. So, could be dangerous. The only way to stay healthy is by eating a healthy diet, which is minimal in unhealthy fats and maximum physical activity and physical exercise. That's about it. Just told you because I thought about it. Okay, so these are the major terms that we've discussed today. You can go through them. Hope these are going to be a lot simpler for you by now. Okay, right, children. So that's about it. Let me remind you once again to visit the link in the description box below, because Vedantu Pro subscription has got a lot to offer you. One more thing I want to tell you. Those of you who are finishing 10th this year, 2021 board exams, JEE NEET courses are also happening at Vedantu for those of you who are targeting 2023 12th board exams and targeting the 2023 NEET exam and JEE exam. You can check out the details of those as well, all right? Because this is the right time to get started. These are available at a very, very affordable price. So check it out. Don't miss out on any of these opportunities. Right, children, so that's about it from my side. Please click on the like button if you've enjoyed this and found it useful. Share it with all your class 10 ICSE friends. Stay subscribed to our channel Vedantu 9th and 10th English. And that's about it from my side, children. Until we meet again, stay happy and stay healthy. Remember, I told you, stay heart healthy. All right? And this is Ambika signing off. Bye-bye.